Hello all, I am Purva Shinde from Sri Mangesh Memorial International School studying in class 8 belonging from city Down, district Pune, state Maharashtra. So today I am here to explain my PowerPoint presentation on the topic of future of humans on Mars, new opportunities and issues humans may face there. Before this, here are some few words spoken by my school's principal. Mars is a valuable place for exploration and study because it can be reached in 6.5 months. It is a major opportunity for scientific exploration and has been mapped and studied for several decades. The mission represents the first step in the long-term effort to bring Martian samples back to Earth, where they can be analyzed for residues of microbial life. Beyond the study of life itself, there are a number of different benefits of Mars exploration. In the first point, if we launch the satellite from here, it will require a minimum time of 6.5 months. The remaining points in the words spoken by ma'am I will discuss in the presentation further. So let's get familiar with some basic information about Mars. First, Mars is the fourth planet from Sun after Mercury, Venus and Earth. It has also referred as red planet because Mars has red soil, so it resembles as a red planet. Many probes and uncrewed spacecraft has been sent to Mars. Many probes and uncrewed spacecraft means the spacecraft that doesn't contain any human in it have been sent to Mars. For example, Mariner 6, Mars Rover Surveyor, Mars Pathfinder and Mangalyaan. The average thickness of planet's crust is about 50 kilometers. So as we can see here, the crust of Mars is 50 kilometers. There is mantle and core. Mars has two moons, Phobos and Deimos. So let's get familiar with some issues humans may face on Mars. The surface of Mars is mostly covered by sand and there are more sandstorms occurring on Mars. So the reason for sandstorm occurring on Mars are basically two. First reason, the speed of wind flowing on Mars is very high as compared to Earth. And the second reason is Mars doesn't have any trees on its surface. Trees are basically responsible for holding the soil at one place and Mars doesn't have it, so there are more chances of sandstorm occurring on Mars. The next point, the problem of water will occur because all the water on Mars is found frozen or hidden under thick polar caps. So yet we haven't found any source of liquid water on Mars, and water is one of the basic elements for humans to survive. So the next point, the surface temperature on the Mars will vary from -140 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius, which can create many health related problems. So the rapid variation in the temperature of Mars can lead to very severe health related problems in human beings. Next point, due to the thinner atmosphere of Mars, it is exposed to higher level of radiation than Earth. As we know, atmosphere protects us from the harmful radiation that is present in the space, and Mars doesn't has a thicker atmosphere, it has a thinner atmosphere, so human beings aren't protected and can have harmful effects. So the next point, the danger of explosion of Olympus Mons, which is an active volcano. So Olympus Mons is an active volcano present on Mars and it is the highest mountain present in the solar system, approximately 3 times higher than Mount Everest. So explosion of it would be dangerous and harmful. Mars doesn't have a magnetosphere, so it is not protected from solar storms and can have many harmful effects after that. So basically, magnetosphere is a shield that protects us from solar winds and storms, and Mars doesn't have a magnetosphere which Earth has, so it is not protected from solar winds and storms and can have many harmful effects on human beings. The next point, the atmosphere of Mars mainly contains carbon dioxide 95% and oxygen is only 0.16%, which is not sufficient for human beings to breathe. So as we can see here, Mars has 96% of carbon dioxide, less than 2% of argon, less than 2% of nitrogen and less than 1% of other gases, and only 0.16% of oxygen, which is very less as compared to Earth, which has 21% of oxygen, and 0.16% of oxygen present on Mars is insufficient for human beings to breathe. So the Martian soil is not fertile, so we cannot grow crops there, which will create a problem of food. So as we know that food is one of the basic elements to survive, and Martian soil is not fertile, so we cannot grow crops there and it will create a scarcity of food. So let's come to the next topic, that is new opportunities humans would have on Mars. First point, we can explore the moons of Mars, that is Phobos and Deimos, for finding more natural resources. As we know that the full universe is full of many natural resources. As for example, the biggest moon of Saturn, which is Titan, which has a huge source of crude oil and natural gas on it. So we can find many natural resources on Mars as well as their moons too. The next point, we can find whether life exists on Mars or not. Yes, the main motive behind Mars exploration is to finding whether life exists on Mars in any form. So let's come to the next point, that is, we can search for liquid water on Mars. We haven't found any source of liquid water on Mars yet, so doing that would be an important research. So the next point is, we can do research on Martian soil and find whether it's fertile or not. So the next point is, we can also research on the Coral crater's ice, which is located on the planet Boreum in the northern polar plates on Mars. So basically, Coral crater is a crater present in the northern part of Mars, and researching there we can find some sources of liquid water, because Coral crater's ice, some researchers proves that Coral crater's ice has been recently deposited there and it wasn't the part of the large polar ice sheet of Mars. So let's come to the next point. We can also research on how to increase the amount of perchlorate on Mars to increase the amount of oxygen in the Martian atmosphere. So basically, perchlorate is a chemical compound that gives oxygen as a byproduct. Perchlorate has good as well as harmful uses. Good uses are, perchlorate gives oxygen, which increases the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere. But the harmful things are, perchlorate is present in Martian soil, which makes it toxic. So we need to find a good way to use it. The next point, we can also try to find underground water on Mars by digging Martian soil, because some scientific researches proves that there was water on Mars and it may there now also. So here is the next point. To live on Mars, we must terraform it like Earth. For this, we will require. So basically, terraforming is a process of changing a whole entire planet for human beings to survive. First point, we can artificially create a magnetosphere on Mars for protection from solar winds and storms. So as I discussed before, that magnetosphere is a shield that protects us from solar winds and storms. So Mars doesn't have it, so we need to create it artificially. Next point, we must increase the surface gravity of Mars to prevent problems related to weightlessness. So as we know that Mars has less gravity, so we will feel only 38% of gravity that we used to feel on Earth. That means if we weigh 45 kg on Earth, we will weigh 17 kg on Mars. So this change will create health related problems. Next point, we also must increase the atmospheric pressure to live there without having blood boiling inside our body. As we know, the lower the atmospheric pressure, the lower is the boiling point of a liquid. So, if the boiling point of a liquid reaches to the body temperature of humans, then the blood and the saliva present inside our body will also boil. And this will lead to boil the saliva and blood present inside our body. For prevention of this, we must increase the atmospheric pressure. Next point, we also have to increase the temperature of Mars by releasing greenhouse gases to make it suitable for human life. Greenhouse gases like methane and nitrous oxide prevents heat from escaping into space and making the planet warm and increasing the temperature. Next point, we also have to increase the amount of oxygen and decrease carbon dioxide in the atmosphere for prevention of health related problems. In this way, I end my presentation, and I strongly believe that humans will be able to colonize Mars in future decades and making Mars our second home. Thank you.